Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Will with Schedulefly. First of all, just thanks for tuning into the podcast. If you're listening to this, we appreciate it. We hope it's helping you, inspiring you, educating you, a little of both, and that these are fun to listen to. We certainly enjoy doing it a lot, and we always learn a lot, and we get inspired by our own customers. And by the way, that's the people we interview, of course, are all customers. Tens and tens of thousands of people, we certainly could potentially interview that maybe want to be on this podcast, but we are fortunate to have north of 7,000 restaurants in our customer base, and there's more great stories to tell than we could ever tell. But every time we have an opportunity with somebody, we really enjoy it, and we hope you do too. So this is with Hunter Wiggins. Hunter's 30 years old. He's down in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and he opened a cocktail lounge 5 months ago, and it is called Session Bar, and it's doing really, really, really well. Hunter's been in the business for a long time. He started as a teenager, and he's been in hospitality other than the small stint when he tried something different to check his temperature doing something else, and realized right before very long at all that he wanted to keep doing hospitality. And this is his first place. It's his own. He's learned a lot over the years, and one of the things I really like about Hunter is that he's a sharp guy. You'll very easily be able to pick up on that. He's, I think, wise beyond where I was at age 30. I'm 45 now. But he's also humble and he understands the importance of humility and learning always. You can never stop learning. So he's got a good mix of, he's got a sharp mind. He's got a high energy personality. He's got a great plan for his business, and he's always trying to learn. So he's sharing what he knows, but also he's listening to other podcasts and reading books and talking to people in the industry, always soaking up knowledge and learning what he can. So I really like Hunter a lot. I enjoyed speaking with him. Frankly, I could have, we spoke for close to an hour. The only reason I had to wind it down is because my battery on my phone was dying, and I didn't have a charger with me. So anyway, it was a great conversation. I'm sure Hunter and I will talk again. He's only 5 months in, so, 6 months, a year from now, we'll probably have another one, see how things are going then. But nevertheless, enjoy this. Thanks for listening. Hey, if you're on iTunes or whatever service you're on, if you could rate us, that'd be great. Any comments you could provide would be awesome. We'd appreciate it. If you got anything for us, you're welcome to contact me directly. My cell is 704-906-2031. Call me or text me, or send us a note over to support@schedulefly.com, and we all get that. Just anything you'd like to share or questions or whatever. And that's it. It's fun recording these things. I hope it's fun listening, like I said. And all of us at Schedulefly, appreciate it very much. Y'all have a good one. More coming soon. Enjoy this. See ya. We are live. What's up, everybody? This is Will with Schedulefly. Very excited today to have Hunter Wiggins on the phone. Hunter is owner of Session Bar in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, home of the Crimson Tide. And this is your first place that you started and owned. Is that right, Hunter?
Yes, this is my first business that I've started.
Okay, give us your background in the industry and how you got to where you are right now.
All right, I started car hopping at Sonic when I was 15 years old, and that was my first real experience with tips, and kind of opening my eyes to the hospitality industry. A lot of people don't really think about it, but you delivering those burgers and shakes at Sonic, and people give you a quarter here, a quarter there. Well, that was my first real experience in the hospitality industry, and kind of really enjoyed that. Really, I've never been a sit behind the desk kind of kid. And so to be able to do something to make money with that was really engaging, very interactive. It's like playing a video, it's like playing a game when you go to work every day. From there, I moved into waiting tables at this little Chinese restaurant. And
is this all in Tuscaloosa, by the way? Or did you grow up in Tuscaloosa, or where were you?
Born and raised.
I hear you, man. Okay, all right.
So
go ahead.
Moved back home to open up this project because, if you're going to do something like this in this industry, you might as well go to where all your roots are.
Yeah.
And my first bar experience was I started washing dishes at 19 years old for a man named Bill Lloyd that owns Wiggins here in Tuscaloosa. And that's kind of when I realized that, I wanted to, in some capacity, be involved in the hospitality industry for the rest of my life. It just, I felt like the coolest kid on the planet being 19 years old, hanging out with a bunch of bartenders till 3 a.m. in the morning, washing dishes, probably 10 years younger than everybody else on staff. And kind of had my first real taste of the nightlife aspect of things. At this point, it had really just been focused on food and more restaurants. And that was my first real taste of staying up late, the bar atmosphere, the everything that goes on with the night culture. And really kind of gravitated towards it, really enjoyed being around alcohol sales more than just strict restaurant sales. And kind of bounced around the country a little bit and waiting tables and bartending here and there, and moved back to Tuscaloosa about 2.5 years ago with a plan set in place to try and open up my own establishment. And this whole concept evolved from being more of a pub to, over the years, to being more of a cocktail bar. And so that's what we came back to do. We knew there was kind of a void in the market of having more of a cocktail bar in a college town. And that's what we set out to do. And it's been 5 months since we've been open, and man, it's been a hell of a journey. Everybody's been so receptive, and just to see people come out and support us has been really, really awesome to experience. I know that every entrepreneur listening to this knows that feeling, and man, it's priceless. It's kind of addictive, honestly.
Yeah, it sure is, man. It sure is. I love it, dude. So you bounced. Did you go to school there, or did you just?
No, I did not. I took one class at a junior college when I was.
Yeah.
When I graduated, I was a troubled youth. So when I graduated high school, I went and stayed with my aunt in New York for a little bit, and then I had a cousin in Fort Collins, Colorado, and went and lived with him and was waiting tables the whole time, and moved back to Tuscaloosa to go to college. And I took one class, and I got a job bartending at a bar in town. And I just kind of sat down with my parents. I said, I don't want to go to college. I want to own a bar one day. And this was about 22. And they said, if that's what you want to do, then you have to have a legitimate plan set in place for how you're going to get there. And so we sat down with the right individuals that said, this is realistically what you need to have to be a player. And we went all in, and I said, I can either go to college and get, in debt and pay that off and then try to open up a bar, or I can just go all in on myself and save the money I would spend on college. And I can always use college as a fallback plan if it's all said and done with, it doesn't work out.
Oh, amen, brother. I hope that you'll share this with your parents, because this episode, man, if only for the reason that, thank you, Mom and Dad. Like, that's so awesome. I'm so glad to hear that story. I think it's so important that, not everybody is cut out for college, needs to go to college. College limits you a lot for some people. I mean, if you need like my daughter wants to be a vet, well, she needs college. She's got to go through the hard sciences and, all good. But like my son, I got 2 boys. One's 13, man. That dude, like, he doesn't, he may need to go to college, but he's got a lot of energy. He has a hard time paying attention. He's kind of like I was. And I look back, I'm like, hey man, like, he may not need it. And by the way, that's you nailed it, my friend, because the amount of money, like moms and dads, think about this, the amount of money you're going to spend on 4 years of your kid going to college. What if you took, hell, even half of that money? And with their plan in place, help them start a business, right? So there's so many other. I mean, and you say a troubled youth. My guess is, man, you got a big engine, and it was hard to keep you sitting behind a desk and sitting still and listening. And you're clearly a high energy guy with a lot of energy and creativity. And look, man, like, that's really, really necessary, and we need that. Well, I mean, we need it badly in our society. We don't need everybody going through the same darn funnel, and I think it's awesome.
I think it's
dude.
a little, it's things have changed. One, it's honestly, let's be real here. It's kind of unfair to look at an 18-year-old kid and say you need to decide what you want to do with the rest of your life.
Exactly.
Now, go to school for 4 years, and when you come out at 22, you've made a decision. Hell, at 18 years old, I couldn't tell you what I wanted to eat that night.
Me either, my friend. Yeah.
But it's, and that's kind of going to what you were saying is you don't have to go to college. And that's kind of what we want to do is we want to show our employees and our staff members that, we're supportive if you work for us and you're in school. We are in a college town. But if you don't want to go to school, you don't have to go to college to make a great living and be successful in this industry. You don't have to own a bar. You don't have to be an owner. You don't have to be a manager. You just have to do what you are comfortable doing and doing it the best of your ability, and make sure that we're giving we're giving you the right opportunities to be successful, whether it's from letting you talk with people to help manage your money correctly, get you set up on retirement, health insurance, and things like that. And we're a very new business. Those are things that we would like to really start doing as soon as we can kind of get our feet under us. But we want to, when you have great employees, you want to keep them around. And if they want to do this for the rest of their life, we want to be supportive and have them with us as long as possible.
Man, I love that so much. Yeah, it's interesting because y'all are in a college town there. And shoot, I tell you what, college towns it's an interesting dynamic because you have a brand new set of customers rolling up on the set every year. Of course, then you have some that graduate and move on, but it's a good dynamic, particularly for something where you saw a need there for sort of a high end cocktail bar. You knew your market, you grew up there, you knew it, and so here you are. Now, talk about where you're located. Did you buy the building? Are you leasing? I'm assuming probably a lease. Did you have to do a lot of construction?
We're leasing.
Okay.
That buying property in a downtown, even in small cities, is way outside the capital that we were able to have. But we're releasing a project, and it's on University Boulevard in downtown Tuscaloosa, right in the heart. Anybody that's listened to this podcast and is familiar with Tuscaloosa, we're right across the street from De Palma's, which is a staple Italian cafe. There's one in Athens also, but they're two completely different restaurants. I think they only share same. They came from Athens to open in Tuscaloosa, but I think that's about as far as the extent of their connection. And we were the first bar on University Boulevard. They put a moratorium on alcohol-only establishments in the downtown area. When I guess it was about 2003, we got voted the #1 party school in the country. And the university started going to the college area, the Strip, and started buying up property to try and get bars off the Strip because the president or the dean or whoever it was said, we're not having this. We're not going to be a party school. So the city thought that bars were going to come downtown. And so, rightfully so, they didn't want all the college bars just be transplanted into downtown. So they put a moratorium that on University Boulevard, the main road running through downtown, you couldn't have an alcohol-only establishment. You had to sell food. Well, right before we signed the lease on our project, they lifted that moratorium, which gave us the opportunity to put an alcohol-only establishment on the main drag in downtown Tuscaloosa.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was very, very just perfect timing, just very, very fortunate that we were ready and we had all of our ducks in a row. We were able to jump at the opportunity whenever it came available.
Oh, that's awesome. Very cool. Did you help shepherd that along, or did you how did that happen?
So they put an article in the paper in the fall that said they were revisiting it, and so we kept our eyes and ears on it, and attended the meetings and kind of just kept the pulse on it to find out when they were going to do it. And when we felt confident that they were going to do it, we got the lease and kind of waited a little bit to see if they were still going to move forward with it. And luckily we signed the lease, and a couple months later they moved forward with it, and we were able to begin construction the following month. Awesome, man. Awesome. Very cool. Well, just gotta, I guess that's probably the more difficult things to getting everything ready is all the back end stuff. The red tape, the legality, what you can and can't do in a city like this.
Did you okay, so you're sort of a higher end cocktail bar. Is your audience you're not like, this is different than what the school was you're not going to have a city or a school that's named biggest party school in the country if it's, because of cocktail bars, nice high end cocktail bars. This is not like a all night, cheap ass beer party all night, loud, whatever. So different deal. You've got lots of students there with resources, with interest in play. You've also got a lot of parents coming in, I'm going to assume, that would probably hang out in your place when they come in to see their kids, which parents do more and more these days. Is that's your audience, that plus, building a good local following?
We got a really strong local crowd.
Yeah.
People that live in the city of Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
And that, the interesting thing is, and also, we're a cocktail bar, but we still want to have that bar feel to it. So we try to we wanted to be nicer, but we also wanted to keep some casual aspects to it.
Okay.
Because we didn't want people to, especially, you're in a college town. We're not fighting over 21-year-old kids, but a lot of the grad students and things like that. We didn't want them to feel that it was only a date night spot. It was only, an event kind of spot. Like, you're only going to go here when there's something to celebrate. We still wanted your everyday drinkers.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, with being a college town, is these kids, when I was 21, I didn't know what vermouth was.
Right.
These kids are coming in at 22 years old, knowing the exact specs they want. Their martini, they're throwing classic cocktails out there, because a lot of these kids now from out of state, they're from Chicago, they're from New York, they're from LA, New Jersey, and they're used to going to cocktail bars back home with their parents. So the younger generation is a lot more educated about what they want to drink than they were 10 years ago, 15 years ago in Tuscaloosa. And so we get a lot, and like you said, a lot of parents come in town. We have these parents weekends, so we get a lot of parents whenever they come through and they're visiting their kids while the kids are at the college bars. They're joining us or bringing their kids out before and after dinner. So it's really a unique dynamic working and living in a college town, because not only are you getting the 4-year students that are rotating through, you have the opportunity that a freshman comes and their mom and dad come. Well, if you make the right impression on the right person, you have a customer that's going to visit you 3 to 5 times a year for the next 4 years. And when you have 40,000 kids, you have the opportunity to really make an impact and have new customers coming in every single day. I tell my bar staff, I'm like, you got the easiest sales job in the world, because the leads come to you.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
If you give the proper service and you make the proper connection, you have an opportunity to build a customer that's going to see you 4 to 5 times a year during the fall and the winter, fall and the spring, for the next 4 to 5 years, depending on how long the kid's in school.
Well, man, I really love the fact that you're what you articulated earlier is you're really looking at this as not a stepping stone, which the industry has really been built on that for so many years. It's a between jobs, it's a stepping stone, it's a first job, but you really are trying to, and so many people in the industry, including us, really want to see the industry move in the direction of this is a career, and you don't have to, like you said, you don't have to be the owner. Talk a little bit more about that, because you told me something before we started recording that I loved. I've already forgot the name of the damn video game, but it was some game you used to play that you learned the value of financial management and saving. Man, I think it's fascinating. What was that thing called?
So when me and my brother used to play this game called Diablo 2 when we were in middle school and early high school, and it's really what kind of taught me the value of saving, because it was the first kind of thing that we had to deal with. That currency, things were deemed currency, and certain things were worth so much of it. And you bought video games and stuff as a kid, but this is before we got real jobs and things like that, and kind of taught you how to save. And I think that's the one thing that owning and being in this industry, money management, you have so many people that don't know how to properly manage their money because they've never had those skills taught to them. And if you learn that skill, you can, like we said, this can be a lifetime. You can do this for an extended period of time if you want to do it for 10 or 15 years. And that's what we're moving towards, wanting to, help our staff get set up on, what they're bringing in, what they want to save for, what they're wanting to do, where's their 5-year plan. It doesn't have to be with us, but how are you going to get there? And how can we help you, whether it's you want to be an entrepreneur and you want to open up your own business, whether you want to save money to move to a new city, whether you want to purchase a new car, get a down payment for a house, how can we help you be successful? Because I feel it is our duty as your employer to put you in the opportunity to have the most success that you can have. And so that's kind of what we're working towards. Is the next step is, really being conscientious about what you're bringing in and what's going out, and helping you have not for this to be a platform, but to show you that this can be a career. And as long as you're doing the right things the right way, you can really have a lot of success in this industry.
Well, I'm very excited to hear you talking about that, and I'm very excited that you have that perspective and you have that vision, because we all know if you get folks early and they're young and they don't know about this stuff and you teach them this, it doesn't take a ton. If you start at 23 years old, put money aside into it, like you said earlier, a Roth IRA or any kind of a savings vehicle that you're not going to mess with. That alone, just, the compounding alone over the course of the next 30 or 40 years, you get such a big head start versus if you wait till you're, oh man, I'm in my 40s, I got kids, and now I got to figure out how to start saving for retirement. If you start then, you're on almost easy street by the time you're in your 50s because of, just the simple power of compounding for not that much money that you set aside every paycheck, that you started when you were 23. It's an amazing thing, but most people don't know that. They didn't play that game, or they weren't some weirdo like me that was obsessed with that early on and loved reading about, Warren Buffett and the power of investing and all that stuff. Most people aren't. But you have the ability to teach them that if you so choose as a business owner to help them learn that. And then you're providing this incredibly, incredibly valuable, meaningful mechanism for them to have frankly, a better life, for many, many years to come. And they probably, some might still have a stepping stone, and maybe they're there for 5 years with you and they move along. But gosh, the ability to get folks, which such a growing industry, hospitality. There's 18 million people working in hospitality around the country. If we could get all those folks to learn how to save a little bit of money, man, a lot of good things could happen.
100%. And it's a benefit from us also, because if teaching, like you said, at 23, not a lot of people realize that if you start, and I told you this before we got on and recorded, that if I could, the one thing that we tell our staff is if you're going to live paycheck to paycheck, the one thing that you should be saving every year is maxing out whatever you want to do for retirement, putting money into retirement. Because whether you decide to do this, you go back to college, whatever you decide to do, having that money is going to be huge when you're 60 years old. And how compounding interest works, a little investment here in your early 20s is going to be a lot of money when you're in 59 and a half, 60, whenever you decide to cash it in. And if they're more likely when you provide benefits, when you provide opportunities, we would like to keep our staff members for 3 to 5 years. That's the goal, is if we can work to make sure that the majority of the people we have on staff are here for 3 to 5 years, to constantly help train new people that come on. You always have a core group of people, 1, 2, 3, because not everybody is going to be a lifetime bartender, and that's okay. Not everybody's going to be a lifetime hospitality industry. A lot of people are just going to come and go, but if we can identify and hold on to those A-class employees that are going to be here for an extended period of time, to help make sure that when somebody exits, you have 2 or 3 people on staff that have, between the 3 of them, could have 9 to 15 years of experience behind the bar to help train everybody to streamline those situations. And we feel that if we can provide the proper benefits for them, that'll make them less likely to look for other employment. Couple that with, making sure that they're getting the off time. That is the benefit of this industry, is it's very flexible. If you want to go on vacation for a week, if the schedule works out, it works out. And so that's where we're just trying to do what we can do to maintain our continuity as a staff. And I mean, you look at the youth football terms here, you look at what's going on in Alabama right now, there's been a lot of staff turnover, not a lot of continuity, and it's hurt. And then you go and look at what Clemson's done with Dabo Swinney. He's had continuity for 10 years, and they're not slowing down, because when you have so many people on staff that know exactly how you want things done, how to operate, it just makes everything smoother and makes everything work better. And I mean, that's in any industry.
Yeah, that's for sure. No doubt about it.
So that's what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, I love it, man. I think you've got a great plan in place and a great philosophy, and a really wise way of going about it, for sure. A lot of people take a while to learn that, my friend. Like, you're 30 and this is your first place. A lot of people, and maybe it's because you've been in the industry a while and you're self-aware and observant, and it takes a lot of people years of trial and error and figuring things out to realize things like that. So that's really cool that you've got that figured out early on.
I appreciate that. It's
good foundation.
Everybody has a philosophy, and Danny Meyer has his enlightened hospitality, and the Koch brothers have their science to success. But the one thing that all these philosophies have in common is when you have A-class employees, retain them. And that's what we want to do things. We feel that if we want to retain these A-class employees without growth, like a lot of these other industries, we can't just go out and say, okay, well, we're just going to decide to open up a new business.
Mm-hmm.
We feel like we have to do certain things on the backside, whether it's retirement savings, health insurance, plenty of things to raise your quality of life to retain these people. And so that's kind of as we keep growing as a company, that's going to be our main focus going into 2020.
Man, that's really cool. Are you, so how many staff do you have, did you say?
I've got, excluding myself, I think that I have, and the door guys and the barbacks, I have 13 employees. 13 employees.
Okay, good
So
deal.
We are a small staff. And it's, so far we've only had, since we've been open, we've had one individual that's come and gone. So I'm counting that as a win. I really expected when I opened up this project, if I could retain 50% of my initial hires, that I would be happy. And we're sitting at, over a 90% retention rate right now. I'm kind of excited about that, because I thought my life was going to be a lot harder when it came to plugging and playing staff members over the last 5 months.
So you bounced around for a while, you said, before you came back. Who were some of the people you learned from that you admire, or that have been role models of yours? Clearly, you've read Danny Meyer's stuff. I'm probably read Setting the Table or whatever. So,
Mm-hmm.
But how about people you worked for that you learned how to do things, or even how to not do things, which is sometimes what we learn.
So the most important thing that the influence on me, honestly, has been my brother. I have an identical twin, and he's currently in his 4th year of medical school. And that was probably the most important influence on me, because as I was bouncing around and he was more stable, he gave me the insight to the encouragement to, that you don't have to gauge your success against what somebody else is doing.
Yes.
You just have success is what makes you happy. And if this makes you happy, do it. And if you can create a living off of it, then that's all you need to do. As far as working in the restaurant industry, there's I've had a lot of help from a man named Craig Williams in Tuscaloosa. He owns 2 restaurants in town, the Avenue Pub in Central Mesa. And, I was a bartender. I knew a lot of the front of house things, but he was somebody that through this whole process that was able to sit down with me and really go over, how to build the proper budget to get the bar open, the backside of things, bookkeeping, taxes, the things that you don't think about until you sit down and talk about like, oh crap, I don't know any of this.
Right.
And and just as far as the most humbling experience I had, and was probably the best thing for my restaurant experience, is I worked at a bar and restaurant in Columbia, South Carolina called Taza Kitchen.
Oh, in Columbia, interesting. Was it down? Okay.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I'm in Charlotte. I was down in 5 Points a couple weeks ago, actually.
Oh, really? Yeah, I was. I lived in the Forest Acres area for a little bit.
Well, they're. I want to hear this, but they're closing all the bars in 5 Points. It's kind of.
That's probably not a bad thing.
No, they're all closing down. They passed some exactly what you were talking about. They went, it's too much going on here. You have to sell 70% of your revenue or more has to be from food now. So there's like 5 or 7 bars that have closed down recently.
So I can see that. I can living there. I can totally see them doing that. And I wasn't there long. I was only about 15 months. And I actually got out of bartending for a little bit and started selling copiers. Kind of questioned whether or not the hospitality industry is what I wanted to do, and got out of bartending for a little bit and sold copiers for right under a year. And I said, hey, there's no doubt what I want to do. It's time for me to move back to Tuscaloosa and make what I want to happen.
Nice. Well, okay, so you were saying you worked there, and I cut you off, so I apologize. But who was the restaurant there, and who did you work for?
It was called Taza Kitchen in the Forest Acres area. And I kind of came in, and I've been bartending for a long time. Didn't work in restaurants. At this point I have about 7 years bartending under my belt, but it's all late night, no food, because in Tuscaloosa you don't have to serve food. So I'm just used to making drinks. That's it. And probably the most humbling experience was working there, having to do everything, make drinks for servers, take orders, do to go, run the POS, work bar customers. And that's kind of when I said, that was a very humbling experience for me, because it kind of knocked me down a couple pegs and said, you're probably not as good at this thing as you think you are. And that really kind of re-energized me to, when I got out of bartending for a little bit, to kind of remember that you have to stay grounded and level, because this industry's tough. And if you don't keep a level head with you, you're going to get knocked down some pegs, and you can't have that when you're trying to create something and trying to do something the right way.
Good it happened when it did, man. Good that you were self-aware and observant too. I mean, those things can be tough when we're going through them, or these humbling experiences, but they're always just growth opportunities. They make us better. So great that you learned that.
It was a great growing opportunity, and to get out of your comfort zone and do something that you're just not used to doing, is working a restaurant bar. And I'll go ahead and tell everybody that listens to this that works in a restaurant bar, a place that does food, y'all are rock stars, because if you can run a restaurant bar and you can make drinks for customers, servers, take food orders, bust tape, do it all. I mean, all my bartenders do is we just sit behind the bar and make drinks as they come across the bar. That's it. So I always tell my bar staff, I was like, you guys got it made. You don't even wash dishes. You got a bar back that does everything for you. Literally all you do is stand back here and make drinks. So sometimes I tell them, I'm like, one of these days I'm just going to take the bar back away and make you do it all, to realize how easy you got it. And I think that's another important thing. I joke with them. They all bar backs for me. Everybody knows every role on staff. They know how important everybody's role is. Without our bar backs, we couldn't do what we do, because they're the cog that keeps everything turning. If they're not doing their job correctly, you're running out of your mixers, you're running out of your spirits, you're running out of your ice, you're running out of your garnishes. And they're the ones that make sure that you're set up for success to make the money that we need to make as a business, and the tips that you guys need to make.
Love that, man. Yeah, for sure. No, it is. And it's amazing to be able to do all that stuff. That's why I love doing this. I'm always fascinated. I can't even imagine doing even what y'all do. It's just, I mean, there's so many moving parts and so many, metaphorical fires you got to put out constantly. And I mean, it's just amazing to be able to pull that all together and create this thing that sings. It's really cool. And it takes a certain type, takes a certain mentality, a certain personality. You got to be able to just weather a lot of little storms and keep rolling and stay optimistic. And when you do, and you can, and you get it right, man, it's a great business. But, it's also a really tough business. And I think that's sort of one of the things, part of why we also like doing this podcast is we want people to hear what it's really like, right? Because there's a lot of people that go, oh man, that looks cool. Owners down there hanging out.
That's right. My favorite thing is, oh man, you must, you get to serve drinks to people and, they don't realize the ins and outs of it, of that there's so many moving pieces and everybody. And I think that's, most people look at it as though it's just a party. You're selling booze late night, but it's a job, it's a profession. And if you don't come to work with your A game, you let your team down. And when you let your team down, everything kind of starts to flounder a little bit. You're not pushing the drinks out like you're supposed to. You're stressing your coworkers out. It's you're a bunch of little frogs sitting on lily pads, and when you don't bring your A game, that somebody throws a big old rock in the water and it shakes the lily pads, and you can't do that to your coworkers and your teammates.
Yeah, man, I like that. That's true. Yeah, absolutely. Do you Let me ask you this. So you mentioned Danny Meyer. Do you have other? I mean, gosh, I can't tell you how many people have mentioned him. By the way, I'd love to get him on here one day.
I think that anybody that's between the ages of 25 and 40 in this industry, if they haven't read Setting the Table, they need to.
Yeah.
And it's probably one of that book, and I really enjoyed the Science of Success by the Koch brothers. That was another one that I
you mentioned
really
them earlier. That was okay.
There's another one called The Inner Game of Tennis.
Oh, dude, that's an incredible book.
It's a fantastic book because bartending's a lot like being on a sports team. You got to play the next play. You're going to screw up. You're not always going to give the best service. You're not always going to make the right impression, and you can't let little things bog you down because it compounds. And
yes.
So that's a great book for bartenders to read.
The Inner Game of Tennis. Holy cow, that's amazing.
Kobe Bryant missed more game-winning shots than he made.
Yes.
But he never let it get it down. And every time that shot came up, he wanted the ball. So you got to find little bits of inspiration in this industry.
How did you find that book in particular?
Tennis. I think it's a fantastic book to read.
How did you get turned on to that? I've read that too, but it's such a random. It's like an old book. It was written, and then people are like, "Tennis? I don't play tennis." I was like, "No. I mean, you don't need to play tennis." But it was written like 30 years ago or something, or it's been a while.
So I got turned on to that because I played basketball in high school, and our high school coach talked about it because Pete Carroll from USC made all of his players read it during those 2004, 2005. I think he made it read it the 2005 year when they were going for the repeat.
Yeah.
And so he made all of them read it. And so that's kind of how he turned on, kind of like a lot of people back then, if you were coaching high school athletics, you probably referenced Pete Carroll a lot because he was the modern day dynasty in sports.
Yeah.
Just like, I'm not in high school, obviously, but I have to assume that any high school coach across the country right now is probably referencing what Dabo Swinney or Nick Saban does in sports, saying, trying to get people to buy in and, you want to emulate success. And, so that's kind of how we got turned on to it. And I kind of took that reading and, I think that's why I've kind of gravitated to the hospitality industries because it's always, every shift's like a sports game. It's like playing basketball or football, and you're trying to do the best you can to win. And luckily, by winning, you make more money. So that's kind of all the way I've looked at it my entire life.
Yeah, and you may not be perfect along the way, but you learn from it and you get better each shift, and you grow, and you dude, I love it, man. I can't believe you read. That's awesome. Yeah, read that book, folks. It's bad. Definitely read Setting the Table. My goodness, if you're in hospitality, read that book. If you
gotta read that one.
Care about the industry. Yeah,
so that's kind of where I have a girl on staff right now. I just let her borrow it. She's probably not going to do hospitality the rest of her life. It's a good book to read just in business in general.
It's a great book to read.
I said you need to read it. It's got some really good little tidbits in there that you're really going to enjoy.
I think that hospitality is, it's a fascinating thing now because I think you nailed it, Hunter, because you don't need to even possibly ever work in hospitality to appreciate and get value from Danny Meyer's book, because look, the bar now in business in general, everywhere, is very low. It's very low for customer service. It's very low for hospitality. It's very low for how we treat our customers. So if you just take the inspiration from that of making people feel good about doing business with your company, about being your customer, and you make them feel warm about that in some way, it will blow them away, because the bar is so low right now, and because we have such negative experiences with so many businesses that we interact with in general, not just hospitality. In fact, hospitality is probably where we typically have the best experiences by and large throughout our day. So many businesses now have gotten away from just providing good, warm, genuine, non-scripted, meaningful, thoughtful, intentional service and hospitality. And those lessons that you would learn from Danny in his book and the other books you're talking about would apply anywhere, any industry, without question.
And I agree with that 100%. And it's just the little things. And we kind of, when we get ready to open up a shift, I kind of remind everybody on staff, it's not we want our product to be consistent. We want to have great product, but it's less about the product and more about who's giving the product across the bar.
100%.
So we're providing a product that we take a lot of pride in, but if you don't do your job to make connections, to make people feel connected to the bar, to you, then they're not going to come back to see you. Because as good as that product is, the person serving it is more important than what's in the glass. And I think that if you think otherwise, I think that that's when you're going to start slipping. When you value what's in the glass more than who's giving it to you. I know lots of very successful individuals that people always want to buy something from somebody they like. And that's in every industry. And people are willing to spend
Amen.
a little more money, or they're willing to take a little less quality if it's coming from somebody that they genuinely enjoy and they want to support.
Man, you nailed it, brother. You nailed it. There's no doubt about it. And particularly now, I mean, the more we're dialed into our screens and there's all these, everything's just kind of like bifurcated between like, I hate this, I hate that. And there's all this, God, you roll up on the set to a restaurant, or you roll up in the set to a cocktail bar, and you got some nice person who's present and, genuinely cares about, what's going on with you. Boy, man, like I'll buy that any day without question. I don't care what's in the glass. Hey, I mean, I don't even have to drink it. Just give me good hospitality. I'll pay for that. I mean, it's amazing. But do you by the way, so you're clearly well read, and you're very thoughtful and intentional with your plan and your business and your philosophies. Do you also, like, where else do you consume stuff? Do you listen to podcasts yourself, or do you, like, where else do you learn from people other than your mentors and things you've read?
I'm very fortunate in today's age. We have YouTube.
Yeah.
And you can really get on and really, what I try to do every morning when I'm drinking my coffee, I try to watch 15 to 20 minute segments of different seminars, listen to podcasts, things that I think are going to help me improve my business. Read, garden. I'm a Garden and Gun subscriber, so read Garden and Gun, Imbibe, Punch Drink, whatever I think might give me the opportunity to pull a little bit of information off to help me out. I think that the YouTube's probably the greatest thing, because it gives you the opportunity to listen to people like Danny Meyer speak, and you can listen to them and listen to stories, and gives you the opportunity to any of these cocktail seminars or restaurant and hospitality seminars, give you the opportunity to listen to people that you didn't have the resources to hear them 20 years ago. So I think that's probably the biggest advantage in our industry and also if you're making cocktails, you can listen to the right people and make sure that you're being consistent with the information you're putting out. I listened to, I'm trying to think of who it was, but she said that the one thing that her biggest worry in the cocktail industry is that people are going to be giving the wrong information out there. And I think that it's very important that everybody's consistent with what we're telling people. So we're all educating the same customer base the same way. So when they walk into a bar, in my bar, and then they go into said bar in Chicago, we're all saying the same thing, and we're all educating the same customer base the same way. I thought that was a really unique thought about it, just kind of making sure everybody was on the same page on the definitions of things, where things are coming from, where these cocktails originated, how you're making them, and things like that.
Love it, man. That's fantastic. Yeah, YouTube's amazing. All that stuff is just democratizing knowledge and information. It's right there sitting at your fingertips. I tell my kids that. I'm like, hey, man, like, they play Fortnite and stuff like that, which is cool. But I'm like, by the way, right there in your hand is like anything you want to know or learn, like, it's right there. Mm-hmm. Like they'll ask questions. So what about this? I'm like, I don't know. Look it up.
Everywhere you can, whatever you want to know, you can figure it out. And of course, you need to sift through some things here and there. But I love like I said, being able to wake up in the mornings and just whoever I'm following that day, be able to turn on the TV and put on YouTube and listen to a 2-hour-long seminar and listen to 30 minutes a day, 30 minutes tomorrow, 30 minutes the next day, and pick up little things. And it's fresh as you're going to work, and you can kind of have things that you want to highlight. So I think it's great. I think that, like I said, I think that YouTube and being able to have all these sources so easily reachable has been a huge thing for, I assume, I have no restaurant background, but I assume it's for everybody in the hospitality industry.
Yeah, for sure. Do you hey, you listen to some podcasts too and stuff? And either through YouTube or podcasts, have you ever heard of this guy Jocko Willink, former Navy SEAL?
No, I have not.
I'll send you a link, man. He's got this. He's a former Navy SEAL, and he does a lot of coaching and training in the business world now. And but there's this like little 3-minute segment. It came off of one of his podcast episodes, but it's a little 3-minute segment on YouTube. I call it the best 3 minutes on YouTube. I love it.
Yeah, send me that. I'd love to listen to it before I go to work.
He talks about, basically he just says how his philosophy was always, as a SEAL commander, was take every single problem that was presented to him, and his answer was like, they'd be like, hey, Jocko, we got this big problem. His answer was always good. And he would take the problem and flip it on its head and be like, okay, well, this bad thing's happening. Good. Here's how we're going to benefit from that. Man, it is just freaking awesome. Like I could watch it. I've watched it a lot of times. I could watch it every single day and never tire of it, because it's a mentality, right? It's a way of going, okay, well, the build out's taking 3 months longer than we expected it was going to. Okay, good. And we have more time to, prepare ourselves so that when we open, it's, going to be great. Whatever it is, it's a great mentality, whatever you're doing, if it's building a business, if it's showing up at work and serving customers, anything like that. So anyway, I'll send you that link, but I love that thing, man. It's freaking awesome.
And I think that you hit the nail on the head, is that you can't, in this industry, the only certainty about the hospitality industry is there is uncertainty. That's it. That's right. And nothing, every shift, something's going to go wrong. Yes. Every project, something's going to go wrong, and it's all about how you handle it, how you. That's right. We talk about, there's I pull a lot of stuff from sports coaches, because at the end of the day, I feel that owners and managers of restaurants you're a coach, you're coaching a team, and you have to be able to make sure that you're inspiring your guys and girls to be able to. Nobody wants to come work for somebody that's not inspiring, they don't believe in. When you show up to work every day, you need everybody to believe that the direction of the business is going, and it's going in the right direction. That's right. There's a guy named PJ Fleck that's the head coach at Minnesota, and he has this whole row the boat mentality. So go Google that and listen to him speak a little bit about it, and about overcoming adversity and obstacles, and how you just have to roll over them. It's good stuff. He came up with it when I believe it is his second son died at a young age, and that's kind of how he came up with his whole mentality.
On it directly, man. I love it. Love that. Hunt, thank you very much. I really appreciate the time. you taking the time to do this, man. You're an interesting dude. I learned a lot from you. Appreciate the business, and just appreciate the opportunity to catch up. And anytime we can, hook you up with anybody. And hopefully, by the way, I'm going to get dialed in at SFA, so maybe I'll see you down in Birmingham this March. But and I know a bunch of folks that'll be there too. Maybe we can introduce each other around and stuff. But dude, I appreciate this a lot, and good luck. And you know where I'm at if you need anything, anytime, my friend.
No, thank you for allowing me to come on here. I think that I still have a ton to learn. I still have a long way to go, but I like the direction we're heading in. I hope to see you at the SFA. I think I'm really excited about that. I think that kind of one of the times we talked, I said, everything we're doing is kind of self-taught, and I would like to have the opportunity to meet some more people that possibly can help me tweak the way I'm doing things to make our operation better. Because at the end of the day, I just want to have the most success for myself and my staff. And I think that in order to do that, you have to be humble and knowing that there's a lot of people out there that can teach you and help you along the way.
Yep.
And, I'm being 30 years old, there's a ton I have to learn. And I think that's a lot of people think that they know more than they do, and it ends up being their undoing.
Agree.
And we don't want that to happen to us. We want anybody that listens to this podcast or meets me in person and we have a conversation, if they have a way that they think they can help me better manage my time, my business, and my staff, and help our company move in a better direction, you have to be open to hearing these people and seeing if you can't implement other philosophies and other ideas. I look at it as we're all a family here, and the better everybody does, it's better for the industry.
Yes, sir.
That's kind of the mentality that I have.
You got it, man. Rising tide lifts all boats. All right,
That's
brother.
Right.
We'll appreciate it very, very much, and we'll talk again soon.
No, thank you very much, Will, and looking forward to seeing you in Birmingham, all right?
All right, man. That's it, y'all. That's a wrap. More coming soon. See y'all.
Bye.